What if one of the quietest animals on Earth has been recognizing you this whole time? Not because you hold the food, but because somehow you become part of its world. Most people assume fish just swim, eat, and forget everything within seconds. But what if that's completely wrong? What if the fish waiting at the glass every morning isn't just expecting breakfast? What if it's expecting you? The truth turns out to be far stranger and far more fascinating than most people realize. For decades, fish have been written off as instinct machines. No memory, no emotion, no real connection to the people who care for them. But recent research, combined with thousands of observations from fish owners around the world, is quietly rewriting that story. So can fish actually bond with people? The answer isn't a simple yes or no. But once you understand how fish experience the world, you may never look at an aquarium the same way again. Picture this. You walk into a room every single day, and before you even speak, something is already moving toward the glass. Not toward anyone else in the room, toward you. Aquarium owners report this constantly. Their fish hide the second a stranger walks by, yet rush to the glass the moment their owner appears. Some even track their owner's movement across the room. The obvious explanation? They just want food. And sure, food is part of it. But here's the part that doesn't add up. Many fish keep doing this even when there's no food involved. They watch their owner clean the tank. They stay close while someone simply sits nearby. They seem noticeably calmer around familiar faces and more cautious around new ones. If this were only about food, none of that should happen outside feeding time. Something else is going on. To understand why we need to throw out everything we think we know about how fish actually perceive the world. You've probably heard the famous claim, fish only remember things for 3 seconds. It's one of the most repeated animal myths in history. And it's simply not true. Many fish remember locations, routines, and past experiences for weeks, sometimes months, sometimes far longer. Some species solve basic puzzles. Others track feeding schedules with near-perfect timing. Many can tell the difference between familiar and unfamiliar objects. And here's the detail that changes everything. Certain fish can recognize individual human faces even when that person changes clothes or appears with visual distractions added. Which means your fish may genuinely know exactly who you are. Not the hand that feeds me, you. But here's where most people make the leap too fast. Recognition is not the same thing as attachment. We humans tend to blur the two together. Your dog greets you because it likely feels something close to an emotional bond. Your fish swims toward you because it has learned through repetition that you are safe, predictable, and rewarding. But stay with this for a second because it gets more interesting. Attachment isn't one single thing. It's a spectrum. And different animals express social bonds in wildly different ways simply because their brains evolved to solve completely different problems. Dogs evolved alongside humans for thousands of years. Fish evolved underwater in a world that runs on entirely different survival rules. That doesn't mean fish feel nothing. It means connection for them looks nothing like it does for us. Look at species like Betta's goldfish, Oscar's koi, or cichlids. Owners describe strikingly consistent patterns. Fish that recognize feeding routines, follow a finger along the glass, or stay calm during tank maintenance instead of bolting in panic. Oscars and larger cichlids in particular are known for having distinct personalities. Some are bold, some are shy, some investigate every new object the moment it appears. Others wait, watch, and approach only when they're ready. Owners often describe them less like decorations and more like pets with actual character. And this isn't just owner imagination. Scientists have measured real, consistent personality traits in fish: boldness, curiosity, aggression, sociability, exploration, across dozens of species. Fish aren't identical little swimming units. They're individuals. And personality shapes how each one interacts with the humans around it. Here's what this behavior actually points to: trust. For an animal living in water, trust isn't a soft concept. It can be the line between life and death. Every vibration, every shadow, every sudden movement could mean danger. So when a fish repeatedly approaches the same human without flinching, without fleeing, it has learned something real. This person isn't a threat. That kind of learning doesn't happen overnight. It takes repeated positive experiences day after day, week after week, until your presence becomes predictable. Your movements become familiar. Even your voice may become part of the environment your fish has learned to recognize. Predictability builds safety, and across the animal kingdom, safety is almost always the foundation connection is built on. Now, an important distinction. Fish don't experience emotion exactly like we do. We shouldn't claim fish feel love in the human sense. But the science is clear that many species do experience real internal emotional states. Fish show measurable signs of stress. They display fear responses. They visibly relax in safe environments. Some species even show behavior patterns that look like optimism or pessimism, shaped directly by what they've previously experienced. That matters because emotion isn't only about affection. Its original purpose is survival. An animal that remembers safety has an advantage. An animal that remembers danger lives longer. Over millions of years, these emotional systems became tightly wired into memory and learning. So when a fish chooses again and again to approach someone familiar instead of hiding, that choice may be more than reflex. It may be a learned sense of security. Here's something most people never think about. Fish are constantly communicating, just not in any language we're built to notice. Body posture, swimming speed, fin position, subtle shifts in color, distance kept from others. Every one of these signals tells nearby fish whether they're relaxed, alert, curious, or ready to defend territory. Humans almost never catch this, but fish absolutely do, including reading you. Over time, your own behavior becomes part of that signal system. Slow, calm, consistent movements read as safety. Fast, sudden ones read as danger. Most owners never realize it, but without trying, they spend months teaching their fish signal by signal that they're safe to be around. And maybe the strongest evidence of attachment comes from something unexpected: absence. Some owners notice real behavioral shifts when the primary caregiver disappears for several days, even when someone else is still feeding the fish on schedule. Certain individuals become less active. Some spend more time hiding, only returning to normal once their usual person comes back. This isn't airtight proof of emotional attachment. There are other explanations. Fish may simply be picking up on changes in routine movement or environmental cues. But what keeps showing up across different households and species is specificity. The reaction often tracks one particular person, not just a human, but that human. Scientists are still digging into why, but the pattern keeps appearing again and again. There's one more misconception worth clearing up: that fish can't form social bonds at all. In reality, many species live in genuinely complex social worlds. Some cooperate while hunting. Others clearly recognize members of their own group. Cleaner fish remember which clients cooperated with them before and treat returning cooperative partners better than strangers. Certain reef fish maintain long-term social relationships specifically to avoid unnecessary conflict. Social intelligence isn't a mammal invention. It evolved independently in dozens of forms over hundreds of millions of years. Once you see that clearly, it's a much smaller leap to imagine why some fish might also recognize and respond differently to the humans they see every day. But maybe the real question isn't whether fish love us the way a dog does. Maybe that's the wrong question entirely. Every species experiences connection through the lens of its own evolutionary history. A bird doesn't love like an elephant. An elephant doesn't bond like an octopus. And a fish will never connect quite like a dog. Yet each one is still capable of forming something meaningful within the limits of its own biology. We tend to underestimate animals simply because they express themselves differently than we do. Silence gets mistaken for emptiness. Stillness gets mistaken for a lack of awareness. But underwater, the rules are different. Connection doesn't need wagging tails or loud excitement to be real. Sometimes it's just the quiet confidence of an animal choosing not to swim away. So the next time you walk past a tank and a fish drifts calmly toward the glass, pause for a second. Maybe it's expecting food. Maybe it's just following a routine. Or maybe after hundreds of small, repeated moments, it has simply learned that you belong in its world. Fish may never show affection the way we instantly recognize, but the science keeps revealing the same thing again and again. They remember, they learn, they recognize, they adapt, and in their own quiet way, they may be capable of relationships far richer than we've ever given them credit for. Maybe the real lesson here isn't about whether fish can bond with us. Maybe it's about how easily we overlook connection when it doesn't look like our own. Because sometimes the deepest bond isn't the loudest one. Sometimes it's simply the moment an animal sees you and chooses to come closer.